and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For the record, this is water, nothing else. Water is life, those things. Now we happen to be at the Patio, which is a restaurant and lounge in Bukoto, and I'm looking forward to chatting with my guest today. Now, Tracy Ahumuza is a communication specialist and the founder of Breastmilk community. Hi, Tracy. How are
Crystal.
you? Let me put my water aside and get comfy. It's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. It's been ages.
It's been ages.
I was thinking yesterday, 12 years, man.
I know. I mean, Avaz?
Well, obviously.
Like, oh my God. And then you said 12 years. Oh my God. For the record, yes, we've known each other a while.
Yes,
it's
we
so
have.
nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Crystal. I'm so glad. Well, I'm thankful that you had me here today. So I'm
always paying attention.
looking forward to catching up.
Yes. And I'm always paying attention, by the way. I think I'm a bit like a stalker. I'm like, oh, wow.
But you were always mummy in a way.
Yes.
To all of us at the workplace where we used to be. You're always trying to make sure everybody, oh, you shouldn't be doing that, or, you know.
God, I'm that person.
Well,
I was thinking, I'm so easygoing.
Well, you'd say, oh, the lipstick, you know, wear it like this. It was nice. It was nice, like kind of having like a big sister to look up to, and, you know, make sure, you know, you're not wearing a skirt too short. Like short, stylish is okay, but again, too short is a...
Yeah. So
you'd get those looks from Crystal.
Yeah. And the mummy.
Yeah.
I think I always say I'm a mama bear in the workplace.
I think so, yeah. But it's in a good way.
So, Tracy, you have been through quite a lot, I will say. And it has birthed the Breastmilk community, which is something that we're going to get into. But I want to take you back because you've been in so many different spaces. You're a writer. You are basically a health journalist as well.
Yeah.
You were in the media as well. You were a radio personality, which is where
some
we worked
point,
together.
yes.
I remember at some point you ran away from us. You left Uganda for some time and came back.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much to cover. So if you were to describe yourself, I'd like to ask, like, what would you say? Who are you as Tracy?
Who am I? Gosh, I used to think I was a wanderer because I loved to move from place to place. I never really felt like I belonged anywhere per se. And I kind of feel like I've come full circle. I'm not yet at that point where I feel like I belong in the space, but I kind of feel like now my purpose is sort of a little bit more clear. I know what I want to do, at least with a certain facet of my life. I know where I want to go. So I would say I'm still a girl for the most part. I never really, you know, every time they say, oh, that woman, or that lady,
like,
I'm like, who? Where? I still kind of feel like I'm a girl who's sort of just understanding how to navigate literally every single space. People say, oh, she's so confident. Oh, she's so, you know, apparently I scare the men away because Munanga, I speak too much English.
What does that mean?
When you speak a lot of English, you are, you know, a problem.
Then I'm in trouble.
So I'm those, you know, I'd say, yeah, I'm just a girl who's trying to figure out where to go. But pretty much at least one facet, that one I've got nailed down where I want to go. I don't know what it looks like, but I know where it's going.
So is this at a Breastmilk Foundation?
Yes, that's
community.
The community for
You're
now.
trying to build a breastmilk bank, though.
Yes,
like something
yes,
more.
yes.
Bigger.
That's the big dream.
That's
the big dream.
That's where you're heading, actually. Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
That's where you're heading.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
So growing up, where was that for you?
Growing up in Kampala, but I moved a lot, different households. Even schools, man. I think I went to like 8 or 7 schools in total, and that's before uni.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I went around to a lot of schools. I was in Nakasero, I was in Aga Khan, I was in Lohana, I was in Namagunga. I was literally everywhere.
Do you remember why?
Well, For the most part, I think there was a family situation in the beginning that made my parents couldn't agree on which school to take me. And so my dad would put me in this school, and then my mom would take me out and put me in the other school.
Wow.
And and it was a very strange living condition because my mom had just remarried, and so it was a bit interesting that time. So I think that's probably where I got that whole I don't belong in spaces. But now I kind of feel like I've found like a common place, so to speak.
Very interesting.
Like I love Uganda, which I didn't for a very long time.
Oh, what?
Sorry.
What was that? Did you feel
No,
like
it
you
was just
get away and
frustrating.
you'd go somewhere else?
Yes, you know, you hear all these opportunities that are everywhere else, and you want to go and do that. And it's a lot more exciting to be in a different space where you're not responsible for whatever is going on, where you can just judge from outside. Like you could see things happening in Uganda, and you're like, but Uganda, my country, I love it. From a distance. Now I'm here, the potholes are with me, like we are here.
Stressed
Yes.
by potholes. I feel like I'm on edge at the end of every day.
Yeah, but being here gives me the opportunity to at least change something. Because if you're away and this is your heritage, this is your country, then I feel.
Okay, so
Yeah.
in terms of siblings?
Oh, siblings. I have many siblings. I have, we grew up in a household of 8.
Okay.
So 5 girls, 3 boys. Yeah, those are the ones I grew up with. But I have other siblings.
Okay.
Yeah, as in African household.
Okay.
The world is.
You're many.
Yeah, we are many.
Big family.
Then cousins. Yeah, I grew up with my cousins as well, so I don't really feel like I wouldn't say that I'm as close to my siblings as I am to my cousins, or as you know.
They were
There's
part of
almost
the
no.
family, but not
As long as you're friends, you're friends. So the sibling part is almost just, you know.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And you are number what in there?
Hey, number about 4, I think. I think I'm number 4. I lose track sometimes.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but
all right, because I was trying to understand the moving from school to school. Because sometimes I know when it's a firstborn, apparently we are experimenting with our firstborns.
And in a way, I'm a firstborn.
there you
Yeah. In a way, I'm a
normally
firstborn. I come from a
you try here and you try there and you.
Yeah, I come from a blended family. I'm very open about it. So I'm my mother's firstborn child. So that means, but she has other firstborn children, but
Okay,
I am her
yeah.
firstborn. So of course she must have first, you know, moved, tried to figure out. But by the time I think, you know, we settled down, then things kind of settled down. I think I moved to around 5 schools before I was in P6.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
That is a lot. So
But-
that's like 3 other schools when we were in high school.
older.
Or did you settle
3
a bit
schools
more
in
there?
high school. But I settled. I think the longest I was in one school was Namagunga for 4 years.
Okay.
That was long. It was.
For you.
I was like, when is it happening? When are they removing me from the
Go with
school? Yeah. But it was interesting because I also then didn't get to know a lot of the younger siblings. I didn't get to know them because I was always in boarding school. Then I was always in cousins' houses. It was very interesting. But I remember distinctly being in love with the kids who are younger than me. You know, the ones who are older, it's sort of distanced. And, you know, in our high school also, you left the older people, like you respected them, you almost feared them. But the younger ones, you coddle and try to boss around a bit and be a big sister. Yeah, and that was interesting. So I stayed around a lot of, so my older sisters eventually started having babies.
Okay.
And that's when I really realized my aunt had a baby. When she had a baby,
Enjoyed
yeah,
time with little children.
a lot. Even when I was little, I think I was I think I was like in P3, but I was volunteering at an orphanage. Yeah, next door to my school, and it was sometimes when I look back then, it's like an outer body experience because I don't remember that child that I was. But I remember we used to play.
What you did, but you don't
yes,
remember the
it doesn't
actual...
fit properly, but it was fun. It
Okay.
really was
Okay.
great. Now that I look, they say hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look back, I'm like, oh, now that makes sense. Why I like this or why I do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about uni?
Uni, I was here at UCU. That was strange, man. That's around the same time I met you. Uni was, oh my God, it was the strangest part of my life, I think.
Why is that?
Being away from home. Well, I'd been away from home anyway all my life, but this was different. Like I was responsible for my own, like catering to my bills and things like that. And then I had to get a job. And that's how I met you.
Yes.
Well, actually, no, I worked at a clinic before that.
Oh, a clinic before you came to the radio?
Yes,
Okay.
so I was doing, I did that in S6 back.
Okay.
I worked at a surgery, and then I worked,
Oh,
yes, then I was doing that at the same time with
I
radio.
remember that now.
That was also interesting because then you get all these different nationalities coming into the surgery, and that was fun. It was interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm starting to think that's your favorite word.
It's safe. It's a safe word.
Interesting.
It was different because when someone is sick, normally the character is different.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah.
You're a nightmare.
Yeah. Imagine this person is already maybe a difficult person when they're normal and then they're sick. Then you have to understand that, hang on, they're probably not a bad person every day. Today they are sick. Just cut them some slack because I was a receptionist.
I know. And you have to deal with people coming in.
And then I have to keep on remembering they're sick, they're sick. Tracy, don't hold it against them. They're sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, or the baby's sick, or
Or they're just scared.
Oh, exactly, they're scared, and so that's normally how I deal with people. Give them a benefit of the doubt and say, I think it's just the surroundings.
I think we need to hear this though, because I'm 100% sure I've been that mom was like,
Yeah, and then I was on the receptionist side.
yeah.
They tell you, my name is, I've been here 30 times. You guys don't even. I'm like,
Do you know how many people we deal with on a daily
it's okay,
basis?
just write your name here. Have a sit, we'll get back to you in a minute.
Okay.
Did you make an appointment? Why are you telling me about appointment? Did I appoint myself to fall sick? So yeah, we had some difficult.
Just having a moment. That must be a very stressful job.
It was stressful, and I was 18.
Yeah.
So, but I think it also set me up to sort of understand people a bit more.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been writing for a very long time. When did you start? I mean, writing professionally, writing also as your own personal, I think.
I didn't think I knew how to write. I love to read for
Okay.
the longest time.
Yeah.
Love to read. And then I had this girl in school she's called Princess. Princess is a brilliant writer.
Okay.
She used to make us look, lesser than. Whenever you'd read her things, you say, I need to start from the beginning.
You are comparing yourself.
Yeah, I know, I'm that person. But I love to write. I loved to read. No, I loved to read initially. And then I started to slowly work on trying to write in comprehension, those classes, composition. I enjoyed those because you'd make up things. Before that time, we didn't know anything about plagiarism. So sometimes I would write a whole song. Just a song, but adding a few things.
From here and from there.
Yeah. But eventually, I think the first time I actually wrote like near professional is when my uncle told me, this is, how men seem like they're not paying attention? But my aunt had left and there'd been a big part of my family. And then he tells me, Tracy, you should try writing, eh?
Really?
Because I think he probably used to just hear me speak. And he said, try putting all of that in words. And I was shocked. I mean, this guy was always not, like, he didn't seem like he was paying attention.
Yeah.
And this is my uncle. He's my auntie's husband. We're not that close, you know. Uncle, hi. Then you go to the room, you take care of his kids. But he's the first person who told me, you might, you know, try it. You might be good at it. No one else had told me before that. They used to tell me, yeah, you'll have to read.
That's interesting.
And then I went, then the next time I think I wrote, for the first time I got like published, was when I wrote for the Monitor.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, the Daily Monitor. I wrote for them. But that was because another friend of mine told me, because I kept texting him all the stuff I found completely mind-boggling in Sierra Leone. He told me, Tracy, now how about we get all this WhatsApp I just started, get all this WhatsApp, write to me about what you...
So this is when you're in Sierra Leone?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
He told me, put all the things that you're writing to me into a thingy, on a paper, and send it to me. And then I did, because I was writing to him. And I was being candid, you know. He sent it to an editor.
Oh.
Yeah, so Nelson was like the first person who forced me to write. Like he literally said, just write, and he sent it to an editor. And then I had to keep writing, and yeah.
Okay, so I guess we need to know how you moved.
From Sierra Leone?
No, two.
To Sierra Leone?
Yeah.
Well, you guys weren't giving me any more money.
Put it out there. I was not in management, for the record. I was also there.
Yeah, the radio wasn't giving me enough money.
Yeah.
I was getting angsty. You know, you've just left uni. You're looking, where is my future? You know, at that age, you're like, the future is bright. I want to conquer it. And the future is like,
Hold on.
Hold on. So I got really impatient. And then I asked my brother, because he lived in Sierra Leone, I said, I want to come visit you.
Yeah.
And then he said, yeah, sure. And then we kind of stopped talking about it. So then I was working two jobs. I was working at the radio and still at the surgery.
Surgery, yes.
And then eventually he tells me, you know what, just come. Because he called me, I think, on Prophet Muhammad's birthday. I remember somewhere in January, because it's a holiday for them.
Okay.
Called me and tells me, Tracy, what are you doing? And I said, I'm just, you know, chilling. What? You have two jobs and you're chilling. I was like, yeah. You need to come. Come and visit. At least come and see a different country. And he's called Keith. Keith is like, he's been like my daddy ever since.
Wow.
He has looked out for me professionally, personally, like ever since. And this is someone who knew me as maybe a 3-year-old. And then he met me again as a 23-year-old. And he took over. He told me one time that my mom told him that take care of my daughter. And I think he took it personally.
You took it seriously.
He took it seriously. He got me a flight ticket. I went to visit. And then obviously it was just a visit. And then I was supposed to come home. And then after some time he said, no, just look around for a job. I got a job. I stayed a year. I got another job when he was leaving. He left. He was very uncomfortable with leaving me in Sierra Leone. He left.
And you stayed.
I stayed for another year.
Where were you working?
At a magazine called Sierra Eye. It's a small quarterly magazine. And then I had a consultancy on the side. I was still writing for Monitor beside.
So the hustling was there.
The hustling was there from the beginning.
You're saying the future, you're like,
yeah.
Let me show you.
I'm like, if we can't get it through here, we'll find this one, we'll find this one. So eventually Ebola happened, but also I was getting uncomfortable with the whole, you know, people saying, if you go to Sierra Leone, you're probably going to find a husband there, you're going to settle there, because, you know, you're young
And people also probably wondering, like, why are you still
Why are you a single girl from Uganda in Sierra Leone by yourself, you know? And then my mom I think my mom once called me, and I was having a really hard time because trying to permits, all those things. And she told me, Tracy, you know you have nothing to prove, eh?
You can come back.
You can come back home. And it was good timing because Ebola had just sort of broken out.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking career-wise, if I want to be an international person in my career, I should work inward, like work outward, work from Uganda going out instead of from this other country, where I'm not really, you know,
You felt
sure
at
about.
that point like you kind of forcing.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't feel very challenged in a sense. So I said, okay, let me come home and start from the bottom and work outwards and see where it goes.
Okay, so you came back then.
Yes.
Is that when you joined New Vision?
Well, I came back in June of 2014, and I remember sending out probably like 70 plus applications to jobs.
Wow.
I was like, man, hit the ground running, because I had friends who had been here the whole time and they didn't have jobs.
Okay.
And so I applied and applied and applied, and I think the thing that might have cut it for my job at New Vision was that I had managing editor experience
From the magazine.
from the magazine in Sierra Leone, and then they took me on, and I had that writing experience with Monitor. They took me on, they made me a sub editor, and then my life went downhill from there. It was like, oh my god.
Okay.
No
Why?
friends.
Okay, as a sub editor.
Obviously I had come.
Explain that to someone who's like, I want to be an editor.
Oh.
What does it involve?
You don't have a life.
You
Like,
don't
we
have
can
a life.
start there.
Okay.
And to make matters worse, obviously I'd come from Sierra Leone,
Yeah.
lived there 2 years. So my peers are now getting married, starting their lives, having businesses.
It's already your social life is.
Already I don't have friends. I have like two who are like constant, 2, 3. And then now I joined the New Vision.
Yes.
And the New Vision is like, and you know, a lot of the time you don't want to make your family at work your family outside work.
Yeah.
You want to sort of separate them. So I didn't really hang around with a lot of my mates at work, but we were friends because we spent too much time together. I was there before 8.
Okay.
A lot of the time I left before, by like midnight, 11 p.m.
8 a.m.
8 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. It was grueling. The pay was terrible. I'm sorry to my former employer.
But you did say you were starting from the ground up.
I did. It was real legit ground. I didn't have a life. I mean, if I had been doing that and then I had a life, maybe it would have made a difference.
Yes.
But I lost my friends. And I remember my grandma one time, I came back at like 2 a.m. in the night one time because they were dropping other people in the van. And my home was very close to New Vision,
Okay.
but they had to drop everyone else before they came to drop me. And I was 4 kilometers from New Vision, but we went to Mukono. It was horrible. And I remember that time, that's when I decided to buy a car.
Okay.
I was like, no, this is not good.
This is not working.
And my grandma said to me, I know, God, that we prayed for a job, but this is not it. So, yeah, so I left.
You left.
I left in 2017. I was lucky. I got this job, which I interviewed for. Botched it. Okay, well, I did well, but they wanted somebody else.
Okay.
But the person, around 2 or 3 people on the board were like, no, we have to have her. And then, interestingly, someone else quit.
And then
Another
there was
role.
an opening.
There was an opening. So I was taken
So
onto that.
did you leave New Vision first before?
Yeah, no,
decided-
I left after getting a call to join the
Okay.
other
And
people.
where was this?
The Infectious Diseases
Where
Institute,
you are now.
where I have been for the last, hey Jesus, but we are old. 4 years, 5. Shoot.
How has that experience been for you?
It was hard. In the beginning, it was all these scientists. And you know, we have a paternalistic society where the doctors, the engineers, all those people are very important. The rest of us are lesser
Not.
than. Yeah. Media, you don't understand what you're doing. Like, now trying to understand how to communicate for scientists.
Yeah. Because you went in as a communication.
Yes, I went in
person,
as a
right?
communications person, but the value for communications was not that high.
Uh-huh.
Because even if they had, I think they were just ticking boxes. Oh, we have a tick, but
But also, like you said, being able to translate that.
It's
like the
hard.
really scientific.
Yeah.
The wavelength that they're all.
And they like acronyms.
Thank you. It's so much.
Oh my God! Like the acronyms are what I had been throwing out of all the editing that I had done at New Vision.
Oh.
And now I had acronyms in even speak. They say EDTCP, and then they say MTCR, and then, you know, DTG. I'm like, you guys,
Can we just speak
can you
English?
Let's talk. Tell me, what is it you're trying to say? So yeah, that happened, and I enjoyed it though. I had a very, very strong-willed boss who was very good at, you know, someone who's brilliant, so brilliant.
Yes.
She was amazing. That it was so hard keeping up with her.
Yeah.
But it was also so educative. Like, you know, when you see someone and you're like, the day I reach there, I swear, you guys, you're not going to see me anymore.
I will have arrived.
I will have arrived. She was, you know, someone who knows. She knows, she's a scientist, she's a professional, she's all of those things, but she understands communication as well. She understands the need for the finer details and all of that, and I found it amazing.
Wow.
But then, you know, I had also this other boss who was a good, like, you know, someone who is calm, who keeps you remembering to, you know, breathe.
Okay.
Slow down.
So you had the balance.
I had the balance.
You had the mentors.
I did. It was amazing. It was really just one of those things that I think I wish I'd had earlier. I wish I'd had it in the beginning.
So do you feel like in that short period, like you grew, like professionally?
Exponentially, I would say. I mean, I kind of sometimes wish I could slow it down in slow motion because it was so fast paced. I had to organize an international conference within 3 weeks of joining the company. International of flights, you organize flights, all these things, delegates, vendors, suppliers, all of that, the program.
Wow.
Within 3 weeks, I was like, I know I asked for a challenge, God, but don't be
That's
literal.
what I was thinking. I'm like, you probably put it
I did. I prayed to God for a challenge after leaving my previous job where I kind of felt redundant. Yeah. So it was a challenge. He answers prayers, just in case you're wondering. So, yeah, he did. He did that.
All right. I love it. I love it when you hear someone's like, you know, they're trying to find their fit. They don't feel they're growing, and then baptism by fire.
Thanks. That's
because when you look back at the time, it's not great.
Yeah.
But when you look back, you're like, okay.
I mean, every time I look back at how difficult it was also really, really educative. I mean, I've heard all this, I don't know if it was TD Jakes or someone, or Sarita or someone. They say stuff about in the difficulties where you're growing. When you're comfortable, there's nothing happening.
Yeah.
So that period is when I was growing like real fast. Sleep.
Now I have to ask, you talked about how you had no social life with the other job.
Yeah.
And now you're saying the three with this one and all this.
The first
did we
few
have
weeks,
at least
a
some,
balance?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately. Because now, of course, I'd lost all my friends.
Yeah.
And now with this new job, the first few weeks I thought, 5 o'clock, what do you people do when you leave work while the sun is still outside?
Okay.
How does that work? But I also felt, I had sold my car because I had that panic attack like at 29 where I was like, I don't own any property. I sold my car and wanted to buy land and stuff like that. So I didn't know. I think at this point maybe my self-esteem had struggled a bit. I didn't feel like I fit into any space per se.
Okay.
Yeah, so I pretty much then became a hermit.
Okay.
I stopped going out. I stopped seeing people as much.
Really?
I just drew into myself. Yeah.
Was it that you were pouring yourself into your work, or?
Honestly, I don't know what happened. I have no idea what happened.
Okay.
But I think it's that stage where you're like, all my friends or all my mates are in their families. Some of them are getting married, so they have responsibilities away from spending time with you.
Ah.
And then you're not really making new friends. Again, I had that rule that at work, friends are work friends. And I was keeping a distance from people at work. And yet they're the ones I spent the most time with.
Yeah.
And then at home, I was just by myself. I started tailoring.
Oh.
Yeah. I started tailoring. I started doing DIY.
You still do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
you still make?
Yeah, I make some stuff. So
Okay.
I changed one of my Instagram accounts into Chacho, my childhood name.
Yes.
And I said making like stuff, like
Oh,
little
wow.
bits of Africana. I got that from Sierra Leone because I enjoyed how they used to make beautiful things out of African fabric. And if you remember us growing up, African fabric was a problem.
No,
It was for local people.
thank you. And now?
And now, yeah, so I started tailoring, and you know when you tailor, it's kind of therapeutic.
Yeah.
Your phone goes off, but then at that point, all my friends were saying, this whole single thing was becoming a problem.
Well, I'm thinking that was a creative outlet.
It
we
was.
haven't even talked about the fact that at some point you were in drama.
Yes.
Yes.
But that was a long time ago, I feel.
So was that just a phase in your life when you were acting?
No.
And first explain.
Yeah. The acting, I signed that. I can't even remember. Oh, working at the surgery. Because Dick Stockley was one of the people that headed Kampala Amateur Dramatics at the time. And they said, oh, we have a pantomime. And I'd done some drama in school.
Okay.
So when they called out for people to do auditions, and meanwhile, these were things that you did free of charge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the practicing places were Ambrosoli, Zambia, Sharing Hall. So you'd put in car transport to go and audition and then also do the practicing. So I was in Sound of Music, which was fun.
Yeah.
But of course, I think none of my friends saw that.
So it was just a bit of fun.
Yeah,
Maybe
it
you
was-
shared a little bit with us.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. It was one of the things which I just did to get away from the normal.
Okay.
To get
To
away
challenge
from,
yourself a bit.
to challenge myself, but also to just step out of what is normal in Uganda. I've been accused of living like a Muzungu, as if. By that, it's an accusation. I'm living like myself.
Okay.
I don't
What does
feel.
that mean?
Yeah, thanks. So I did that for a while.
Have you ever felt that pull again?
No, since that my self-esteem kind of took a beating during that period.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with, I haven't been good with even doing this, I wasn't good at it for a long time. Yeah.
Got you. Yeah.
Well, now I have a bigger thing, like what pulls me out. Like people call me and say, oh, come out and speak to me about this. And I'm like, yeah, I have an educating to do, so I'm gonna do it.
So you were saying that like your friends were saying, this single life of yours, you're keeping to yourself a little too much.
Yeah.
Did they take
They're like,
action?
some of them did. I mean, my friend, my housemate at the time, Susan, she put me on like literally all the, what are they called? Apps.
The dating apps.
Yes. Tinder, Bumble, Christian dating for singles. She put me on every single app. And then she would like be scouting boys online and then say, no, this one, no. This one, no. Then sometimes she would even, like, she put my picture on
You were aware of this?
Yeah, she would tell me, by the way, we might have a guy. But she's the one talking on my behalf.
Wow. So you had a matchmaker right there.
She was like, I'm about to get married and I'm not getting married alone. Okay. So should try to put me in all these spaces where, and I was like, calm down. It will
How are
happen.
you feeling about all that?
It was fun. It was different, and she was my housemate, so it was something to talk about.
And let's meet new people. See what happens.
Yeah. So it was okay. My parents though have never been the sort to push you about marriage or about children. So I was never really felt any pressure really. Yeah.
Okay. So with Susan's help, did we meet someone at that point?
Well, she did get me onto the apps, so I did meet someone eventually.
Okay.
It didn't work out, but that's how I got my little girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You were talking about your pregnancy and saying it was a rough one.
You see, it wasn't
For the
planned.
record, pregnancy is different for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I don't know what I expected, having been around children all my life and sort of having this glee when I found out I was pregnant. It was like, oh my God, me, a mother. I have been chosen to be a mother. I was like, but I'm still a girl. So then I started, like, obviously I hadn't planned for it. So now I needed to plan. I had 9 months to get myself together.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I was doing badly. I had an okay job.
All right.
I was doing fine. So I started pulling all these things together. But you see, we were in the pandemic.
Yeah.
So nothing was guaranteed at that point. I had to leave the house I was in to make sure I'm not spending too much on rent by myself.
Because you were watching.
Because now I was alone. Yeah, it
Oh,
didn't.
yes, and she got married, right?
Yes, she got married. And I sort of was like, I can't be spending this amount of money on rent. I need to move. I spoke to my aunt. She said, come live with us while you get ready to have the baby.
Okay.
You can save the rent money for...
Nice.
Yeah, but then halfway, I think, through the pregnancy, 4 months in... No, actually like 3 weeks, 13 weeks, we find out that there might be a problem with the pregnancy.
Okay.
What sometimes either or can be a congenital malformation. You don't know at that point. But they told me it's an omphalocele. Everything else looks fine. So it's basically like having a big kundi. The big umbilical, the navel was larger than normal.
Okay.
And then I was like, is this going to be a problem? They're like, no, we fixed that at child. It happens. It's a very common condition.
So when the baby's born,
they do a surgery.
Okay.
And my doctor even went as far as saying that it's like having an extra finger. I was like, really?
Okay.
This is
He
at the time.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, I think he thought he was joking.
Dr. Humor right there.
It was horrible. I was stressing out. I was like, I'm in Uganda, our healthcare system, my baby. I wish I had given. I even considered traveling and giving birth elsewhere.
Okay.
I was so scared.
So the stress was more of you being anxious.
The actual body was fine. I looked pretty in my pregnancy. I loved my belly. The skin messed up really badly.
Yeah. So our lovely weather changed and we had to seek shelter.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, but Tracy, you were telling me you were really anxious because you're worried about, and imagine as someone who even worked at the surgery and you've seen a lot of the healthcare in this country.
And I was working, even with my current job, you know, you see a lot of different things. And I've always been interested in health. I mean, my parents never got a doctor with me. They got my sister who's a doctor. But at least I had that health interest. I remember being interested in health journalism. So I think one of my papers in school was on HPV, the virus, and media. Something like that.
Okay.
So I've always been interested in health, and I've always been very, I think, angry with the way our society kind of gives it to God.
Yeah.
They say, if someone dies, they'll say it was God's will.
Yeah.
And I think even God is like, no, stop it, stop it. It was not my will.
Yeah.
You botched it. You didn't do the right thing.
Behind, faith and religion for that. They're
Exactly.
like, when it's your time.
And I feel that it doesn't give us a chance to recover or to do better next time. Yeah. So when I went through my pregnancy, the whole time, I don't know if it had anything to do with the pandemic, but the whole time I kept asking, is there something I should know? Like I had all the books and what, but I said, these are books from the US.
Yeah.
These are apps that are built by people of a different color. Is there a way I can know what I need to do for my ethnicity, my pregnancy during my condition?
Yeah.
And I really did not have any of those resources. we didn't have antenatal classes.
Oh, because we were in the pandemic, right?
I don't even think it was about it might have been because of the pandemic, but there were those
Because
holes.
I remember going for the antenatal classes.
Yeah, but my friends told me, I know that there are some Ugandans who will refuse to go.
Yes.
They're like, yeah, it's pregnancy, we'll figure it out. And that I find unrealistic.
Okay.
I think it's really important to be proactive with regard to your health. I talked about the paternalistic nature of our society. The doctors know it all.
Yeah.
But listen, they only know about your condition from a lecture.
Yeah.
Or dealing with other people, but they've not walked with you. They don't know your body as well as you do.
Your body, your journey.
Yes, and I feel that it's so important for us to work with doctors, not doctors work for us or work for patients. We need to work together.
So you do your part, you research as much as you can.
But also the doctor has to listen to you.
Did you feel that you weren't heard?
No.
Okay.
I feel that I was dismissed a lot of the time. I was told, it's going to be okay. I said, but it was only towards the end that I started to feel like my doctor was now paying attention. But that was when my my blood pressure was going up.
Was shooting up.
And he would say, okay, get that measuring thing, and they would monitor my blood pressure at home.
Yeah.
That's when I kind of felt that he was coming in. But you see, with the pregnancy, it's a whole journey. You've got to be with your doctor throughout, or your midwife, or somebody who's actually a medical professional.
No, I think in other countries they actually assign like a birthing
partner.
Or like an assistant, someone, consultant.
Yeah.
So that you can check in with them every week,
whenever you
feel you have, whatever your fears. And you're right. Here it's like, you'll be fine.
You will be
until
fine.
There's a problem.
Yes.
And it's like a major problem.
Yeah.
But what was making you feel like anxious, like almost like something was wrong?
Again, in hindsight, everyone will say that it's normal for mothers to feel that way.
So no, you're absolutely right, by the way. It's amazing how I feel like even you've had a child and then you get pregnant again, it's like you forget everything and you have to read again, you have to ask questions again. And then, like we said earlier, every pregnancy is different. So just because, that's normal, it doesn't actually work that way.
And people get dismissed a lot,
That's an interesting thing that you said, that, you felt dismissed.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, they know better.
Yeah.
Because they're the
professionals,
doctors. They're the experts, right?
And yet it's supposed to be a collaborative, work together for my health, but let's work together.
And you know your body.
And also doctors learn. If you listen to your patient each time, you can learn something that would help you with a different patient. And also, I hope that there will one day be situations where the patient said, can we try this? And the doctor said, I hadn't thought of that. Let's actually try that. But a lot of the time the doctor said, no, that won't work. That will not work. Yeah, you're dismissed as you're not the professional. Yeah. I know this.
I've seen this.
Brought
so many babies into the world, so
yeah. So we got a lot of I got a lot of dismissing, and I was doing the whole doctor thing. I had a friend who was going with me to see the doctor and everything, and we were up to date with them. But there could be a lot. There could have been a lot that could have been done better.
Yeah.
I mean, probably would not have changed her prognosis. She probably still would have died.
Yeah.
But now I know that we can do better. I mean, there are so many loopholes that were missed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So speaking of your little girl, you want to tell us what happened?
Well, she had her surgery.
Yeah.
She was a fighter.
Okay.
She did really well.
She was born a few weeks early?
No.
No?
Born on time.
Okay.
Very healthy.
Uh-huh.
Except for the surgery that needed to be done.
Uh-huh.
She was kicking and screaming from the moment she entered the world. I kissed her. They took her into surgery. I didn't see her until I think the next day.
So they do the surgery immediately? Like she was a day old?
She was hours old.
Wow.
They shouldn't have done that.
Wow.
They should have waited. But that's what they decided to do. And for whatever reason, I think it was a lot of stress on her. She was put on the respiratory machine. But she had done well even in the surgery, and even after the surgery, she was doing well. And then she got better by like the second day, third day. She was moved to the NICU.
Okay.
But, you know, a perfect storm, eh? When everything that can go wrong, I think, must have gone wrong. It was the holidays. It was Easter. She was born on Good Friday. Maybe the nurses were not well staffed during that period. Maybe someone at night wasn't paying attention. You're a nurse who should be with your family maybe, and you're on your phone. Someone did not notice when her blood was going, you know.
When she was in
She was
distress?
changing. Yeah, she was changing. Because she had been moved from the high intensive care unit
Yes.
to the neonatal intensive care unit.
Yeah.
Because obviously when they take you from the ICU to bring you to the NICU, you're doing better.
Yeah.
You're out of danger. Took her less than 12 hours to die in there. So, but what I find when I talk about the fact that my doctors did not work with me is how after giving birth, after doing her operation, they then tell me that for a baby who has just had an operation, we cannot give them formula. I had carried formula to the hospital.
What?
You can't give them formula.
So what's your baby supposed to have?
Breast milk.
Okay.
In any sort of distress, if a baby is sick for whatever reason and they're newborns, breast milk is the best option. It's the only supposed option actually, because
The
if you do
only
formula,
option.
they can die. They can get infections and die, depending on the type of formula that you use, right?
Wow.
And that's information for 9 months. We knew about the surgery, but I didn't know that.
No
And
one
then now
felt
I
the
was,
need to tell
no
you
one
this.
told me this. And now, here I was, a newborn in the ICU. I'm being told I need to make breast milk. I am
It hadn't come in
It
yet.
hadn't
Because
come
normally
in
the
yet.
baby suckling is
Yes,
what
and the baby hadn't been put on my breast at any point,
She
which
should have
she
been
could
put on
have
your breast.
before they did the surgery.
Absolutely.
Because it wasn't an emergency surgery. It could have waited 2-3 days.
Yeah.
I know people now, after searching, that have done that surgery 3 days after the baby
Yeah.
has
The
been born.
first thing it should be your baby should
Nutrition,
suckle and bring the
just
Yeah, and
prepare them for the surgery.
Yeah. What's that first milk? The colostrum.
Colostrum, which
Yes.
is like medicine.
Uh-huh.
It's like medicine for the baby because it helps take out the meconium, that fast poo and all of that.
Yeah. And it just packs them full of antibodies.
Antibodies,
and
and that's exactly what you need when you're going into a surgery. And I didn't know that, and I felt also utterly betrayed. I felt terribly, terribly betrayed. I had to pump breast milk, and then I was not pumping enough. You know, I was getting like 5 ml, then 30. By the time she passed, I think I had come to 40 ml.
And again, it's
but do you know
baby
the other?
constantly suckling that normally.
Yeah, brings it out. The other curveball was when, after 2 days, they told me, oh, if you don't have milk now, you can get a donor. And I thought, wait, what? That was an option? We could have planned this earlier. I could have had a donor on standby if you plan to do the surgery
Because like
early.
you said, you knew that this
We
surgery
knew.
was going to happen.
There was nothing
So it was a breakdown in communication as well.
completely. It was such a terrible time, and I was so upset. I was so angry. So then I was lucky. My sister-in-law was breastfeeding. Our babies were months apart. I just called her. I told her, just come give my baby milk. And she dashed over to the hospital. She took her tests as required. She pumped her breast milk, left it. The baby had the milk for that day. But unfortunately, she passed away the next day at around 10 a.m. on Easter Monday last year, 5th April. I remember the day now.
You had 3
Yeah.
days with her.
I didn't even have that time with her, because she was in the ICU, she was in the NICU. I would go and try to visit her. And they have this rule about only father and mother allowed. And I'm like, are you okay? What if I'm a single parent and I have the birth partner? You know, do they have to be a man?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
We have some of those really rigid roles that
Yeah.
don't make sense.
So then she passed away, and it was devastating. She was buried immediately that day in the evening. Her dad is Muslim. So the unfortunate thing is that we didn't get to do a postmortem. Now, if you remember what I was saying about how we say it's God's will, when we can actually learn from this death
really
so that
happened.
we don't make this mistake again. Because I kept asking my doctors what went wrong. They said, we don't know. Everything was fine. She was okay. She was set to be discharged. Everything was fine. We don't know what went wrong. And there are those acts of God, you see. But find out, was it really an act of God? Or was it someone who wasn't paying attention? Because her color, by the time I went to see her, her color was different. I went to see her very early Monday morning, and I was like, she doesn't look okay. She looks tired. She looks upset. And they're like, no, it's fine. A doctor will come at 10. And now for a baby, you don't have an hour. You don't have 20 minutes. So by the time the doctor came, she needed probably resuscitation. And then they called me back because I'd been in pain that day as well. Had a C-section. And they told me her heart had stopped beating. The horror. My supposed only child, dead. I couldn't believe it, you know. I couldn't believe that the system had done exactly what I thought it would do.
What you were afraid would
What
happen.
I was afraid would happen. Yeah, so they buried her, and then I went home really, really upset. But now my breast milk came. And I was like, hang on, this milk could save another baby who needs milk, whose mother is not able to give it like I wasn't. And so I start calling my doctors. I tell them I have breast milk. Who can I give it to? And they said, no. You see, you're in a delicate condition. You shouldn't be thinking like this. No, you know.
Imagine that.
Don't, you know.
Yeah, that can be your therapy, right?
Thank you. It could have been soothing for me to give this gift to another child, from my child. And they really just dismissed me the whole time. I spoke to like 3 doctors. I spoke to my doctor first. He said, you know, it's difficult. Just rest, just relax. Take the tablets that stop the breast milk, because they give you those pills. I called another doctor, the doctor of the baby, my baby. She said, no, we don't. And this is someone who deals with operations all the time. She should have said, yay, that's a very good idea.
I'm
Bring
actually
the milk.
really upset with this information.
I got so angry.
Because you're saying they didn't give you the information that you needed to be
Yes,
better prepared.
yes.
Now here you are, you've learned this information, you're like, I can give, and they're like,
You leave, no, don't, you know. Then I called at the time, even in Zambia, I didn't have their breast milk bank yet, but I'd had for so long they had a bank. Only to call them to tell them, you guys. They're like, no, we don't have a bank, but if you want to give me breast milk, you come, you get tested, then you pump from here. I was like, what?
Uganda.
I have a C-section, my baby just died. You want me to enter a hospital where people are holding their lovely little bundles of joy or are pregnant and expecting, and you want me to be in that environment?
Yeah.
And so eventually, I gave up. I mean, I had the equipment, you know, I had the breast milk pump, I had a freezer. I had read it all online that it was possible.
Yeah, I've heard of breast milk banks.
Yes, all over the world.
And communities.
Communities, yes, because there's eats on feeds, where there's, they call it eats on feeds, it sounds so silly. But it's milk sharing communities where you do consensual milk sharing.
Yeah, yeah.
So now that became my goal in life.
When did it click for you that, you know what, this is something
When
I'm
kept,
going to do?
I think it was at the realization that the bank wasn't yet ready, that it needed equipment, that people needed to go there to donate. And I was that mother who could not go there to donate.
Yeah, you were healing.
I was healing, I was in pain, I was
You've just lost your baby.
I've just lost my baby. Bereavement donation is a thing. It provides solace for a lot of mothers. So I spoke to Denise Kitchemery. I don't know if you know her.
Yes.
Yes, I spoke to her and I told her. I think I met her when I was about 3 weeks pregnant, 3 weeks postpartum.
Yeah.
My sister had forced me to go for this Rotary thing. And I went and she was talking about loss and grief and all of that. And I told her about my anger at not being able to give my breast milk away after my child died. And she said, "What? You wanted to give it away and they refused you?" And she's like, "No, make it happen." And so I think maybe a month later, she told me, "Give me a flyer." I posted on WhatsApp because there's a family right now that needs breast milk. And I thought, I'm not ready. I don't have people who are pregnant. I don't have people who have given birth. But she tells me, no, just find someone. So I posted, that's the first time I think I spoke publicly about her death.
Yes.
I posted it was around July. I posted on Facebook, I said, I was once that mother who needed breast milk for her child. Please, donate to this family. They're a set of quadruplets. They need breast milk to survive. Their mother can give it, They're usually premature. Preterm babies are also in that category of babies that need donor milk.
Yes.
And Uganda is the 28th country worldwide with the highest preterm rate.
Wow.
Worldwide. Number 28. Preterm. That's how many preterms we have.
Wow.
So I said to myself, okay, I posted it, and then my friend from school said, I'll get in touch, And then she was our first donor, and then follow on, we started I would just match mothers to thingies,
to the babies.
Yeah,
the families?
donors to families. That was, because that's the community I was thinking about.
Okay.
But then we got into a situation where I match a donor to a recipient, and the donor falls sick after the recipient has tested them. The donor falls sick or travels or is unavailable for some reason or can't give as much milk as the baby needs.
As a family needs.
As the family needs. So then I thought about it. I was like, okay, this can't work.
Yeah.
So I started testing mothers of my own money because I realized this is money I would have spent on Alyssa anyway. She would have needed Pampers and formula or food or whatever. And I had savings that I wasn't obviously a lot has been spent on the funeral.
For her.
Yeah, but a lot had gone into the funeral as well. And at that point I said, okay, this is going to have to work, So I set up Atta Breastmilk Community with no community members.
How did you come up with the name?
Atta is Alyssa Taha, which is her name.
Okay.
And my name is Tracy Ahumuza. Atta. Yes,
okay.
breast milk. But somebody said recently that it sounds like
baby
speak. No, they said that it sounds like baby speak for milk. Atta, give me Atta.
Oh.
And so it works. So we thought maybe we shall make some merchandising with Mata. So yeah.
So that's how you started Atta Breastmilk.
That's how we started, with one donor who we matched over. And then eventually we partnered with Rocket Health to do the testing for mothers at home in the comfort of their homes. Not that they have to leave their families. We just have to give them instructions on what exactly to do to handle the milk properly. But also we have to make sure they have a freezer. You can donate if you don't have a freezer. But hopefully one day we'll get to that point where we have freezers in different locations and they can drop milk drop-offs, which is what
a breast milk bank essentially is
supposed to do, right? You're not central.
You can't expect areas where people can get access to breast milk.
Yeah, so
wow.
So that's what we did. That's what I started doing over the last year. I had family supporting me in the beginning. I registered the organization as the Alyssa Marie Foundation, which is Alyssa's name. And so Atta Breastmilk Community is just a component of the foundation. And one day we'll hopefully have bigger things under there. The dream is really huge. But now I'm more determined to be in Uganda more than ever. Because that I can fix. Because if we think about the fact that 200,000 babies die in the first year of life, right? In Uganda.
In Uganda.
200,000.
Oh my Lord.
But 45,000 of those babies die in the first month. That is usually nothing other than nutrition, poor management, all of that. And we've normalized the death of babies because no one talks about it anymore. You lose a baby, they say, get another one. In fact, that's what my doctor said when my daughter had just died. He had just declared her dead. Then he told me, you're not barren, you'll get another one. I remember that like yesterday. It upset me so much.
Absolutely.
I was like, hey, another one. Eh? Let's not put into account the fact that you don't know my what's going on in my womb because you're a pediatrician. You don't know if I'm single or if I am averse to men or if you don't know anything about me. Right?
Lisa was your baby.
She was my girl. I'd written to this girl for years. I started writing letters to her when I was 26 years old.
You shared that. I saw that and I was like, oh my gosh, you'd been writing letters to her. So I can imagine that made it even harder. So I need to understand the letters that you were writing. How did you even begin? Like, how did you even know you were going to have a little girl? Those are the questions, right?
Like, I didn't know I was going to have a girl. In fact, one of the letters talks about that because I told the girl I was writing to that everyone keeps asking me why I'm writing to a girl. What if you're a boy? What if you're my first child and you're a boy?
Yeah.
But the reason why I started is that at 20, you remember I told you I was having that little quarter life crisis where is the future? Am I ever going to have children? Am I going to be a career woman? I was trying to figure out where my life was going at that point.
Right.
And then I remember that my mother had had me at 26. And her mother had had her at 26. So I birthed my child at 26. Since I was not pregnant, it was not about to happen. I started writing letters to her. And the tagline actually on the website, on the thing.
Your blog?
Yeah, the blog, yeah. Is so I won't have to yell so much. You can just read it and know. Go to the one I wrote on September 19th, 2018. This will refer to this as you act the way you act. So, yeah. So I set up something in her honor, her legacy, to make sure that her life wasn't for nothing. She was here for 3 days, but I think those were the most impactful 3 days of my existence. I may never have a child again, or I may never have, and people will tell you, no, it will happen. They'll immediately shut you. You'll have a baby. Do you know? Has God told you? Like for you, have you seen it? Do you know for sure that it's going to happen?
I think people say things like that, and it's more about their comfort, making themselves feel better than
who are you trying to convince?
Yeah.
You tell me I'm going to have a child again. Oh no, it will happen. Who told you?
They're being positive.
There's that toxic positivity.
Ooh, toxic positivity. We've landed on something interesting. No, but you're right. I guess people do these things and it's just, a lack of sensitivity. That's a good one. So tell me how it works. How does the Breastmilk community work right now?
Okay, right now, because I've told you how the genesis was.
Yes.
So right now we test mothers.
Okay.
So we first screen them. There's an online form that you fill out, and you've got to fill out certain things. You know, have you ever had syphilis? Have you had a surgery recently, besides maybe the one where you had the baby? Do you have any tattoos? There's some questions that we ask that are relevant to what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So if you pass that screening test, then you receive a phone call. We also ask how old your baby is, you know. We ask all those questions. Any medication that you might be on that, you know, is not good for breastfeeding. We ask those questions, and then after that you receive a phone call for an extra screening process. Do you have a freezer? Is your partner okay with you
Donating.
milk, because sometimes their partners are not. It's happened before.
Yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah. So we ask just candid conversation. Ask a few questions here and there. Tick a few boxes. If you don't have a freezer, now you can't donate. I had to do a lot of reading. I spoke to a lot of doctors. I have a neonatologist that we work with. She's in Mbale Hospital. I have a pharmacologist professor who we work with. She's from IDI. She's actually one of the people that pushed me to do this.
Okay.
Katrina Waite. We have a lactation consultant on board as well to help the mothers during that, because the donor milk is temporary.
Yeah.
While your milk comes in, or until the baby is able to go into formula or whatever.
Yes.
And then we also realized that because mothers were not receiving a lot from the donors, we had to be the ones to collect the milk.
That's what I was thinking.
And then pull it out,
Yes.
and send it out, because you find
getting it from the donor to
us.
the mother or the family that needs it. That's
so for now,
gap.
the milk is free of charge. We try to ask people to donate milk bags, but my sister has been donating milk bags for almost a year, 6 months now. She sends us like a pack of 500 milk bags,
Okay.
which has seen us through a big chunk of the time, because that was a big
There's
problem.
so many areas that you need people to step in
Yes,
and donate and help.
yes. The milk bags are expensive. It's a pack of 50 is like 55K. And yet we need that. And my understanding is that by the time you need breast milk, your finances need to go to more important things.
Yeah.
Like testing other things, like making sure your
Even just the
nurses are
hospital
happy.
bills.
Yes, the hospital bills. So that's why ATA wants that equitable access to human milk.
Yes.
Equitable. No matter who you are, wherever you are, we want to make that milk available to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it online? Is it on Facebook? Where do
Right
we
now we're
find
working
you?
with Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We should get on LinkedIn. I hear that's where the money is.
Yes,
So-
yes. That's where the companies are.
The companies.
That's
So-
where we know you're going to support.
Yes, so we've been innovating because that's the easiest way. We understand the dynamics of the people who are on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, WhatsApp. They usually have a freezer. They usually have access to a phone. I can contact them to arrange for pickup because they're not so far away, because that's another thing.
Yeah.
We have cooler boxes and ice packs
To
to transport the milk. We've got temperature monitors now to monitor the difference in the milk. It can't go above a certain temperature.
Yeah.
The lower the better, but it can't be above a certain temperature. We try as much as possible to educate our donors as well, and our recipients. These are mothers who are nursing their own babies, so they're very open to saying, I can't donate anymore. Sometimes there are things where we test the mother. It's expensive to test the mothers as well.
Okay.
So we have an account with Rocket Health. We test and we pay later.
Okay.
But of course, that's another thing.
So you need that support for it to happen.
We need to test the mothers. But I'm so grateful also for the support. Of course, along the way, I felt like, man, I can't do this. This is bigger than me. This is. I tried to give it away. I tried to give it. And then someone told me, you're giving away your child. Yeah? So.
No, it probably looks like it's really big, but it's baby steps.
I think
Baby
so too.
steps.
I hope we'll get there.
Yeah.
One day I hope ATA has milk banks and communities where the banks can't reach, because some of our doctors are very rigid. You can't do that, you can't do that. I was actually told what I was doing was illegal.
Oh. Wow.
I was threatened. I was told, stop it, by a doctor. But I'm like, so you watch the plea of these mothers. You don't have a solution. But you're saying
last minute that, okay, now you go get a donor.
You're
You're trying
from
to set
where?
up this community.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And I could have stopped, but the thing is, Atta is really Alyssa.
Yeah.
It's really my child, and we are in the terrible twos maybe, or ones or whatever, but we have to get the work done. And I have to walk a lot of it by myself. Even my mom told me, hey, vision bearing is lonely. You will, some people will come for money, others will come for clout, others will, it's okay. Whoever comes, comes when they come. But you have to do the work, at least in the beginning. So that's what I'm doing.
Oh, Tracy. It's an amazing journey that you're on, I have to say.
I'm surprised I haven't cried.
I know. You did well, right?
I know. I'm getting there.
I think it's becoming easier to talk about.
Yes, and I'm also just, the child loss is terrible, but it has to be gone through. You can't get over it. You have to go through it. And people will try and shut up people who've lost children and say, you need to stop thinking about the negative side of things. They just lost their child.
I think it's about other people feeling uncomfortable.
Yeah,
they just don't
they're
know
uncomfortable and then they want to push it onto other people. But
yeah.
I hope we can be more open about loss if someone wants to talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
We need to do a lot more work there.
Yeah, because it's common.
Yeah.
It's normal. And the pandemic taught us. People can just drop dead right in front of you.
And grief is not a one-day thing. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, now it's been
grief,
3 months, now time to move on.
But it has been long.
Someone has said that to you?
Oh my God, they're like, but she died last year.
Wow, that's insensitive.
Yeah.
But Tracy, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure
I've
having
enjoyed
you
it.
and catching up.
I know, it feels like a catch-up.
And seeing this become a reality.
I hope it does. I pray it does. When it does.
When it does. And it will.
Probably we'll come back and have another conversation.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you for having me as well.